So hello there everyone and welcome, it is Arman here, and today it is time for me to bring you the ultimate guide to starting a FIFA 19 career mode save. I do realise there's some new people to FIFA 19 and to career mode this year, and obviously some people, or a lot of people who are existing fans of the game mode, but quite a lot has changed in terms of some of the little details of the game mode, and there's quite a few little tips and tricks that you can apply to your career mode saves. I'm going to be bringing you all of those today to make sure you have the most successful career mode save you can possibly have. I've had the game for about 2 weeks now, so I've been able to learn and sort of get a grip of all the smaller things that you can do in the game to really help yourself out as a manager, and basically see this as a bit of a checklist that you can come back to when you're starting whatever career mode save you end up doing. If you enjoy the video and you find it useful, slap a like on this one and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Now, one way you can start and make things more realistic before you even get into the career mode save is on the main menu of FIFA 19. You can go over to customize and then edit teams in the little menu, and there you can actually change the names of any stadiums that you want to in the game. Obviously FIFA 19 doesn't have the licensing to every stadium and every team, so you can go over there and you can change all the stadiums names if you want to of the country that you're playing in. So if you're doing a Road to Glory in England and you want to actually be going to real life stadiums, then you can change all of League 2, all of League 1 and the Championship stadium names and do it there, so there's a bit more variance and you're not just playing at Forest Park every game. Before you do that though, make sure you download the latest updates in the tab just next to stadiums. That obviously means you get the latest squads, but it also means it will save the stadium names that you do when you actually start up the career mode save. Now once you start the save, you'll see you might have some additions or add-ons that you've earned by playing FIFA for multiple years. Now, if you get the GTN scouting add-on, definitely use it. It really helps you out in the long run. It means you don't have to spend useless money on an extra GTN scout, and it also saves you the amount of time that you spend scouting new players when you want to bring people into the club. Now, there's no hard and fast route as to what team you should use at the start of a FIFA 19 career mode save, but I have done a video in the past outlining some of the teams that you may want to use when you start a career mode. If you want to check that out, it's in the top right of the screen. However, for those just starting on FIFA 19, maybe this is your first time playing career mode, I definitely choose a team with low expectations across the board. It just makes things a little bit easier for you. You can see those expectations to the right hand side of the team that you choose. Now we're into the career mode save, and the first thing we'll be greeted with is Preseason Tournaments. Do not let these pass you by. These are a great way to get prize money and an extra bit of cash for the transfer budget. Probably the last time you'll be able to increase that without selling players already in your club. Make sure you focus on the one you're most likely to win. Forget about the prize money. Everyone always goes for the prize money, but if it's a tournament that has good prize money, but you're never going to win it, don't choose it. There's a massive gap between going out in the group stages and winning the whole thing. You're better off going for one that pays out less, but that you are most likely to win. Then you can sim every game and not waste all the time in the world actually playing the entire tournament. Now, one of the first emails you'll see in the entirety of the career mode save is to do with the objectives set by the board. Make sure you go through these and try and complete the really easy ones, especially stuff like financial, youth development, brand exposure is usually quite easy as well. If you get these done, you're more likely to be able to have some leeway when it comes to results. It just helps you out if you're not actually doing that well in the league or in European competition. Your tactics are kind of self-explanatory. Don't be afraid to change them a lot. You know, it depends on what you're comfortable with, formation-wise, personnel-wise, and all that sort of jazz. Just make sure you've got a separate team sheet for both your strongest side and then your B team, so that it's easy to just flick between them when you're playing in the league or when you're playing in the cup. You can take a look at your squad depth on the squad section as well by basically pressing Y over a player in a certain position, and it'll bring up all the other options that you can bring in to replace them. Obviously, then just pick out the areas that you're weak in terms of depth or in terms of quality. One key thing to do, especially with your young and promising players, is to go into your squad hub and then go over to the financial tab. From there, you can scroll through every single player and see who has release clauses in their current contract. For the ones that you absolutely want to keep no matter what the circumstances, renegotiate a contract with them and take out that release clause. Especially for the promising players, eventually they'll grow to an overall where their current value is higher than that release clause, and an AI team will snatch them from you and you won't be able to decline the bid. If you forget to do this and an AI team does come in for one of those players, you can still renegotiate the contract after the clause is triggered, just obviously before the player is sold. So release clauses can be tricky for yourself, but they can also work in your favor. One thing I would definitely recommend doing is going onto the search players tab, going to the top right box and searching for players with release clauses. This is the same area where you can search for players on the transfer list, on the loan list, on the free agents list, but now you can specifically search for players players with release clauses. Go for players maybe younger than 22, and then search per position. So look for goalkeepers, then right backs, then centre backs, all the way through to strikers. It might be quite time consuming, but if you can find players that look very promising with low release clauses, get them on your shortlist and wait a season or two. They will have outgrown that release clause because the AI teams do not extend their contracts and don't give them release clauses matching the growth in their overall. It's probably one of the best ways to get bargains on career mode, and it's extremely overpowered, especially from season 2 onwards. So yeah, gather a list of about 40 or so with low release clauses, players that are maybe below the age of 22, and it's definitely a really great way of saving cash when it comes to bringing in young and promising players. Now, GTN scouting is the other main way to get players into your club and onto your shortlist. For those that don't know, these are just basically scouts that go out and take a look at other teams and other leagues and bring back players based on the parameters that you give to them. Obviously, it's in the instructions section where you give, well, the instructions, but make sure you have 5 scouts in your roster. You can have less if you want, but it makes it very difficult sometimes scouting a large portion of players at the same time. Have 3 of them out in specific countries. Have 1 maybe in England, 1 in Germany, and 1 in France, and then keep 2 on the sidelines so they can scout any player in any country wherever you happen to find a player from. Obviously, if you had all 5 of them assigned to countries and you happen to find a youngster from, I don't know, Dynamo Zagreb and the rest of the world, you wouldn't be able to scout that player because all your scouts are assigned. If you keep 2 of them on the sidelines, 1 of them can go out to Croatia and go out to another country and another country and another. They can go out to as many different places as they like, as long as they're not specifically located somewhere. Overall, I wouldn't spend more than £1.5 million on a scout. You don't need 5-star scouts, realistically, in either youth scouting or in GTN scouting. One instruction that's really overpowered is looking for pre-contract agreement players. The way to do this is to scout for players 23 years old or above, with 1 year left on their contract. That way you can sign them in January of season number 1 for nothing. They will arrive to your club at the start of season number 2. Another good instruction to have there is to make sure they are first team quality. Make sure you tick that box, otherwise your GTN scouts will literally find any player whose contract is expiring and they might just not simply be good enough for your team. Your GTN scouts will then basically find players based on that instruction. You can scroll through all of them, see how good they are, and then again, add them to the shortlist for later. Now, after all this shortlisting, you're obviously going to sign some of these players. Make sure you have them scouted. You need to know what their transfer value and their wages are. You don't want to go into negotiations for either and end up overpaying massively because you don't have those values to hand. When you get into negotiations, don't be afraid to play hardball, but make sure before you go into it, you take a look at what your CEO suggests. If they give you a bracket for what the team will probably accept, go for the lower boundary first. They'll probably ask for more, but then make sure you negotiate and just don't bow down to their demands straight away. Once you've agreed a fee, make sure you delegate on personal terms. It'll save you money in terms of bonuses which the player doesn't ask for when your assistant manager does it. If you go into negotiations and meet up with the player and the agent in the cutscene, they will ask for those bonuses in terms of signing on and also for extra appearances or goals. You can genuinely save yourself 3 or 4 million depending on how good the player is here. And the final thing on transfers, if you're doing a road to glory, make sure you utilize the free agents list and the loan list, not just in season 1 but in future seasons too. It can really be overpowered, especially when regens start entering the game. Controversial one now, but if you've got a player who doesn't have a great potential and they're one of your favorites, you want to boost that potential, you can use the loan glitch to improve the overall peak rating that they can get to. What you need to do is add a player to the loan list, wait for an offer to come in for them, and then loan them out. Regardless of who the player is, you should get a loan offer, whether they're a first team player or just simply a youngster. As I mentioned, accept the offer, and then at this point, save the game. That is absolutely crucial. Make sure you save the game as soon as you accept that offer. Go back onto the player and immediately recall them. It'll cost you a little bit of money, but take a look at their valuation and the small green box and percentage that indicates the fluctuation in their valuation and see whether it's gone up, stayed the same, or gone down. If it's gone up, then you've successfully loan glitched the player and you successfully made their potential higher. However, if it hasn't changed or it's gone down, back out of the game save without saving it and reload again. Do the same thing until it works and until that valuation goes up. Only a couple of things left. First of all, training. We haven't mentioned that so far in this video. There's no real huge point training players who are already going to be wonder kids. This is a common misconception. They're going to grow naturally on their own to whatever potential they have. Vinicius Jr. will get to 92 whether you train him or not. The most useful way to use training is to use it on players who have a specific weakness in their game, which is quite fundamental to where they play. If you have a winger who's got horrendous crossing, train his crossing and focus on that crossing. Another great way of using training is if you've got a young player who you really need very soon. If you've got a backup goalkeeper, for example, who's only 66 but you need him to be 70, intensely train him for a month and he'll hopefully get to that overall. Don't waste it on wonder kids who are already going to be very good players without that training. And finally, let's talk about youth academies. Again, like I said with GTN scouts, don't spend too much on these. 4-star scouts are good enough. This is 4 stars on judgment and 4 stars on experience. At the top of the screen, it will explain on that page what each one means. I haven't personally noticed a trend on the best places to scout or instructions to give, but you can experiment on this as you go along. Realistically, you're focusing on the potential rather than the current overall of the player. You can have someone who's 60 rated, but if their potential's only 65, they're going to be practically useless for your career mode save. Ideally, you're looking for players who have a highest potential range of somewhere in the 90s, so between 90 and 94. Those are the guys that are going to be wonder kids in your saves. However, if you want to, you can sign every single player you get and sell them on immediately. Youth academy players do not have to be at your club for 1 year to be sold, so if you want to gain quick profit and gain a couple of million on every single youth player you get, you can literally promote all of them and then sell them immediately in the same transfer window. Apart from that, it's up to you then to provide the results and to provide the player signings that you want to in your career mode saves. Choose a difficulty that's comfortable for you and play on that. Make sure you have some fun. You can set yourself some rules and goals if you want to. I've done another video on different types of career modes you can do on FIFA 19. Again, you can check that out in the top right of the screen, giving you some rules and guidelines that you can stick by to make it a little bit more of a unique challenge in comparison to just doing a stock standard career mode save. That though is going to wrap up today's video, basically giving you the ultimate tutorial on how to start a FIFA 19 career mode save. If you've got any other tips and tricks that you like to use in your career modes, drop them down in the comment section below. And for those that are new to FIFA 19 career mode, go down into the comment section and take a look at some of the ones down there as well. If you're new to this channel though, make sure to hit the like button and of course slap the subscribe button. It's the big red one under the video and it really helps me out. You can also follow me on social media these days too. My Twitter handle and Insta are at @theofficialfng and links are down below. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.